Hello, Squirrel Tribe. So happening now, we have the Colorado Republican Party calling for the burning of all pride flags as Pride Month kicks off. It is the month of June. Quote, burn all of the hashtag pride flags this June, the Colorado Republican Party wrote in a social media post this week. And this one's really great. First case of rare sexually transmitted form of ringworm reported in the U.S. A sexually transmitted ringworm caused by a rare fungus has been reported for the first time in the United States. That sounds fun. Also, you have the dangerous heat wave that's hitting the U.S. from Texas to California with grim records expected. It says millions of Americans are sweltering as experts warn the early onslaught of high temperatures could be a sign of a torrid summer ahead. And just to make matters so much better, we have the East Coast, specifically Georgia and North Carolina and South Carolina, bracing for the invasion of palm-sized venomous spiders that can fly. The Joro spider. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this thing. Let me just show you. When we had our house in Georgia on 6 acres last year, these things were all over the place. We could not go in our backyard. These things were terrifying. And now they are back again for the summer and working their way up the East Coast. So for those of you who see a little spider like this, it looks banana-ish, just know that it will fly at you and it is venomous. So do everything you can in your power to stay away from them. Now, we have talked a lot over here about bridges and collapses and a lot of issues with barges and somehow pilots forgetting how to pilot a boat. I think boat pilots are called pilots. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking airplanes. But either way, boats have lately, for some reason, forgotten how to boat. The people at the helm have forgotten how to do their job. Tugboats are doing weird things. It's been a lot, right? Well, we have another one here. Ship at full throttle in harbor causes major South Carolina bridge to close until it passes safely. Let me just tell you, when I saw the picture of the bridge, I saw this and my very first thought was, if they tell me that this is what it looked like before another boat or barge hit another bridge and now it's collapsed, I'm going to lose my ever-loving mind. Because it gets tiring. First it was the trains. Well, technically first it was the explosions of processing plants and, deaths of animals, whether it's cows, chickens, or egg-laying hens. Hello, dyslexia. Or then it was all of the train derailments. And now it is the season of, bridge collapses. That's where we're at. But according to this, a large cargo ship, hello, deja vu, lost control of its engines and went nearly full throttle through a South Carolina harbor on Wednesday, prompting the closure of one of the busiest bridges in the state. The irony that every single time it happens to be one of the busiest bridges, let's just think back to the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse in Baltimore, one of the busiest bridges in the area, almost 1 million people crossing it, yearly, whether it's by car, by tanker, by whatever else, and now out for the count until who knows when, right? So according to this, harbor pilots were able to help the nearly 1,000 foot roughly 300-meter ship, which was going nearly 20 miles per hour, get under the Ravenel Bridge safely and eventually anchor several miles offshore while the Coast Guard investigates. This is according to Randy Preston, who is the commander of the U.S. Coast Guard's Charleston section. Police cleared traffic, cyclists, and pedestrians from the 8-lane bridge before the ship arrived, keeping it closed for 10 minutes as the Michigan 7 steamed underneath. The only damage, thankfully, was caused by the giant ship's wake, which knocked aground a small boat and caused minor injuries to 2 people. That part is unfortunate. Hopefully they will be okay. The ship is registered in Liberia to Mediterranean Shipping Company, which did not immediately respond to an email seeking comment because they never do. It was headed to Savannah, Georgia from Charleston's port. Now, this is a boat registered in Liberia. The last one, the one that hit the Francis Scott Key Bridge, the Dolly, was registered in was registered in South Korea. No, that feels wrong. South Korea had something to do with it. And I don't remember. You guys may remember. I don't know why I didn't look this up before we started this. I don't remember, but South Korea, I know for a fact, is part of it. Y'all, I hate it when I do this, and I'm sorry, I don't do it on purpose. Now, according to this, I don't want to speculate on it becoming a disaster, but anytime a vessel can't control its propulsion, it's concerning. So the bridge, the barge, the Dolly that hit the Francis Scott Key Bridge said it lost power numerous times and couldn't control it. This is saying it lost, what did they say it lost? It lost its propulsion. lost its control of its engines. Yet, why was it going 20 miles per hour to begin with? Like, it doesn't need to go full speed at any point in time, right? As far as I remember reading from these other bridges that we've talked about collapsing, and these other barges we've talked about that have gotten loose or done, damage, they weren't all at full throttle. There's no need to be in full throttle when you're going in these areas. So why was it at full throttle to begin with, and then just suddenly loses engine power when it gets close to a bridge? I have been over that bridge in Charleston. It is a ginormous bridge. It crosses, obviously, from one side to the next, and there's a lot of industrial things there on the water with, the steam coming up. And I don't know all of the stuff that's over there because I'm not from Charleston. We just went there 2 years ago, I think. My husband and my daughter and I, we went there 2 years ago and stayed at a KOA. We went camping. We did a lot of fun stuff. Charleston was beautiful, right? But I do remember there's a lot of industrial things on that waterway near that bridge. And so for this boat to suddenly be at full throttle and lose its engines, I'm not saying, I'm just saying, if y'all have ever been over here on SquirrelTribe before, you know how I think, and a lot of you think the same way, which is why you're here. It is very concerning to me when these things happen, and especially as they seem to be picking up speed, no pun intended, on the amount of barges losing control, the amount of bridges being hit, the amount of bridges collapsing. It is actually very concerning. And these are things that I'm tired of seeing in the news, yet we keep seeing them. According to this, what it says, an out-of-control cargo ship smashed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge, which we've talked about, in Baltimore on March 26 after losing power. Same thing. That one did kill 6 construction workers who were on the bridge doing work when it collapsed. Engineers said the Ravenel Bridge was designed differently and could withstand a similar blow. Now, the Francis Scott Key Bridge was one of the way it was a suspension bridge, I think is what it was, right? So it was not going to withstand that kind of blow, but this one they're saying could. Still, they decided to shut down the bridge once it was clear that the ship was out of control. Thankfully, can you imagine if they had not shut down the bridge, knowing that a ship was out of control? One, that would have just looked absolutely awful, knowing a ship was out of control, and they're like, we don't really want to let the bridge stop because we want people to get from point A to point B. Try to appease the people, keep the people happy. But if this ship had hit that bridge and there had been a collapse, imagine the amount of lives that would have been lost. Like I said, I've been over that bridge. There's a lot of cyclists and a lot of pedestrians on that bridge because they have a cycling and walking path on, I don't know if it's both sides. I'm pretty sure it's both sides. Maybe it's not both sides. Maybe it's only, look, I'm like this side. That does not help anybody. But I do remember seeing a ton of people foot traffic wise on this bridge. Long bridge too. If they hadn't closed it down and that bridge had collapsed and that many people had fallen into the water and died, catastrophic, like seriously catastrophic. It says here that police officers gave rides to people who were walking or biking across the span to get them to safety quickly, which was, a good thing. Charleston Police Chief Cheeto Walker said the bridge was empty within minutes. The communication was pristine in the situation from top to bottom. The ship's crew regained control after leaving the bridge and was able to stop an anchor about 10 miles off the coast. So again, it's real convenient that you lose all control right before a major bridge and then, oh, look, miraculously, control has returned. Okay. About 100,000 vehicles per day cross the cable-stayed Ravenel Bridge, which opened in 2005 and whose main deck is 186 feet above the Cooper River. Its towers are 575 feet above the water, and engineers said it is designed to withstand wind gusts up to 300 miles per hour, stronger than any hurricane in recorded history. How do you know? Like, where's the proof that it can withstand that? Just out of curiosity. But I mean, it's great that it's a very strong, bridge. But the fact, again, that we have another out of control cargo ship near a massive bridge, a main bridge, is very, very concerning. Very concerning in my opinion. So I will continue being on the lookout for titles like this, articles like this, things that are happening like this, because it keeps happening. And if you sit there and you start making like a little scoreboard, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you keep going on, how many of these are going to happen in the 12-month span of 2024? Because this started happening this year. We didn't really hear about bridge collapses in 2023, but 2024, it's like an uptick. So stay off bridges if you can. Maybe that's the whole point. Maybe that's what they want us to say. Stay off the bridges if you can, because then that stops traffic, that stops movement, that stops a lot of things from happening. It scares people into not wanting to be on a bridge just in case, right? you can't live your life scared. You still have to do the things you need to do to live your life, to run your business, to run your household, to do whatever. So you can't let the possibility of something stop you, or else we'd all be stuck in our homes, never leaving, and wrapped up in, you know, bubble pads, bubble wrap, so that nothing ever happened. And nobody wants to live like that. So continue doing the things that you need to do. But I would say, if you happen to be approaching a bridge, maybe look up and down the river to see if there's a boat headed your way, and decide if maybe you can pause for a few minutes until a boat passes before you continue on. Yeah, that would be my suggestion for that. So, Squirrel Tribe, I love you immensely. I will see you guys a little bit later for some more stuff. But for now, deuces.